Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is about my South India road trip on the Kawasaki Ninja 650. I started to plan a long road trip after I got this bike in August 2020. I thought of riding to Goa from Pune or doing the Kashmir to Kanyakumari trip, also known as the K2K ride, or ride to Run of Kutch in Gujarat. The biggest question I wanted to answer for myself was, can it be done? Can I tour on my Ninja 650? Finally, I decided to ride towards South India this time. So without further ado, let us get started. As it is going to be my first long trip on the Kawasaki, on the first day I have decided to take a stop at Belgaum instead of traveling to Bengaluru directly. Belgaum is just around 336 kilometers from my house in Pune. For the luggage, I am carrying a saddlebag for the photography gear. All the clothes for the trip are in the tail bag, the tank bag for my cell phones and power bank, and I am carrying a laptop for backing up the video clips on the go in my backpack. So here is how this looks, all set to go. For this trip, I am carrying a dedicated phone for maps. I am planning to keep the maps running for most part of the journey, so that I can keep track of the distance I am covering, and to make sure I am not slowing down too much. I usually take the bike out of the society and then start it. The stock exhaust is not very loud, but in the morning, as it is quite calm, it might disturb the neighbors. Seems like a perfect day for a ride. One of the reasons I bought the Ninja 650 is how it looks, but I did not expect it will attract so much attention on the road. For the most part, I like it. Most often they just want to click a picture or know more about the bike, and in the process I get to make new friends as well. So finally catching up some pace. We are on the Mumbai-Bengaluru highway. While some sections are under construction, this route was enjoyable for most part. I usually ride up to this point on our weekend rides with my friends. On the first day there were some close calls where things could have gone wrong. But thank goodness nothing of that sort happened. For the most part, rest of the ride was a safe one. It is nice to see other tourers on the road. I was considering getting the Bajaj Dominar 400 at some point. And after the increase in power figures, I feel it is much more value for the money now. It is still a great contender as a second bike for me amongst the KTM Duke 390 and the Royal Enfield Interceptor for city duties. The stock seat on the Ninja 650 is hard in my opinion, probably because of its sporty nature. Before the ride, I tried to get the gel seat installed on the bike, but I could not. The local seat maker told me that there is a shortage of raw material and we might need to wait another 3-4 months. For better comfort, I wore the riding pants with its woolen lining, and this did a great job as a padding for both seat and thigh. I think this was one of the things which helped me cover these many kilometers on this trip without much of a trouble. Finally reached the hotel in Belgaum. The bike safety was one of the main reasons I chose certain hotels on this trip. As a sign of all good things about to happen on this trip, I loved it when the staff gave me such a nice parking spot for my bike. Time to take some rest for today and be ready for tomorrow. Coming up in this video, my journey from Belgaum to Bengaluru and our rendezvous with the Triumph Tiger 1200. A little late to start on the second day of the journey. We'll be covering around 530 kilometers from Belgaum to Bengaluru. It is around 8:20 am and the navigation shows that I should reach by 5:30 pm. I'll be happy if I can make it by 6:30. The roads on this section of the highway are good for most part. There were few diversions but not so much that they would spoil the fun of riding. It was getting a little boring in this section of the ride as it is mainly a straight road and I have travelled on this route many times in the past. But when I was filling up fuel at Shell, I met Mr. Anil. He was also riding to Bengaluru on his Triumph Tiger 1200. We had a quick chat while drinking coffee and we decided to ride together. Mr. Nair usually rides from Goa to Bengaluru on one of his adventure bikes. Together we covered around 400 kilometers on this route and he shared some useful tips with me which helped set the pace for rest of the journey. He has travelled to Kanyakumari and Dhanushkodi and shared his experiences. After talking to him, I really felt that now there is no returning back and I must complete the trip as I planned. When we started to ride together, I tried to keep pace with his Triumph. Mr. Nair on his Tiger would just glide over bad patches of the road and I initially thought it might be okay to do it on the Ninja. Pretty soon I scraped the exhaust on a speed bump and then I changed my riding style a bit. I will extremely slow down on speed bumps, which I later realized is also not a great idea on the highways, and then catch up with his Tiger when good patch of tarmac came along. The preload at the rear suspension on the Ninja was set to factory settings, and I think that was the problem with all the luggage than the speed at which I went over the speed bumps. When I came back from this trip, I got the rear suspension adjusted at the authorized service center and it felt much better on my next rides. It did change the riding stance a bit. It feels slightly more lean forward, but not by any great measure that it will become uncomfortable. In fact, I went to Goa from Pune with this setting and it was equally fun to ride the bike. On a side note, when I returned from trip, I did a lot of research on getting an adventure bike. In fact, I zeroed on to moving on to Triumph Tiger 850 Sports. It could possibly be because I was impressed by Mr. Nair's Tiger 1200. But I think I'll wait for some more time and enjoy the Ninja 650 a little bit more. For me, the Ninja 650 turns out to be a great all-round bike. Given a good stretch of road, a sports tourer like the Ninja would be more fun for me if I can cover the bad patches with a little bit of caution, I believe. So finally I arrived at the hotel, the one that you see on the left. We are at the end of this video. I hope you liked it. Stay tuned for my next video as I narrate my experience about reaching Kanyakumari and then Rameswaram. Thank you for watching.